Aggelos is another modern retro style game. It was released last year, but the developers just recently gave me a press key to check out. And this is another great example of a modern retro design, but it may be a little too retro in some areas. So the basic gameplay, as you can see, goes heavily with the style of the Wonder Boy franchise, the action-adventure series where you'll be wandering the land looking for upgrades, gear, and of course trying to save the world. The story is that you are this nameless warrior here who just so happens to save the princess one day, and then discovers that you are the chosen one who must save the world of light from the invading world of darkness. As always, you are playing the wrong genre if you're expecting a very deep and complicated story. Instead, what we got is a action-adventure title with very strong Metroidvania elements. The world itself is quote-unquote open from the start. There are plenty of areas that you cannot get to without the right upgrade or item. There's also fetch quests and all manner of random doodads that people will want from you. Upgrades come in the form of passive elements such as increased health and magic, those are the hearts and blue gems at the top, buying new swords and armor, which will raise your attack and defense powers respectively, and getting the big upgrades in the form of element powers. There are 4 temples which you will have to collect them in and of course fight a giant boss. And the elements are the most unique aspect of Aggelos. Each element is tied to the same button, but different prompts, and they have a different power that not only gives you more utility, but also gives you some kind of movement tech as well. For instance, your first power that you get is Earth, and the basic function is that you can kind of throw the shot in arc, like the axe in Castlevania, but you can also use it to turn enemies into platforms, thereby allowing you to get to areas that you couldn't get to, or skipping sections. The bubble power gives you defense, raising the amount of defensive points you have, but while you have the bubble out, you can also float while you jump, allowing you to guide further than you would before. Every town has a shop which will allow you to buy items and get new stuff, and the game does a really great job, I think, in terms of its level design, and testing you on the various elements and getting around. And the more we show will obviously spoil things, but it does get very challenging and very creative in the use of its powers as you get further along in it. And that is really great, especially for this kind of game where the gameplay, the core gameplay loop, is the primary reason you're going to be playing it. With that said, we're going to do a quick Patreon and sponsor shoutout, and then we're going to talk about probably the one major nitpick that I have with Aggelos, and that surprisingly has to do with the aesthetics. And now for a quick thank you to our Patreon backers, as well as to our current Game Wisdom sponsors. And if you'd like to continue this discussion on game design, be sure to check out our Discord channel, linked down below. Aggelos has the look and feel of a lot of retro games, but the look and the sound are probably the weakest aspects of it. We are talking about how a lot of the background and character art kind of looks like oversaturated in a few aspects. It doesn't seem to have like that level of detail that we see from more, more moderner retro examples, such as Shovel Knight, Odalus, and the like. But the real knock against this game is sadly the music. This perhaps features some of the worst chiptunes I've heard in the modern retro market. And I know what you're thinking right now. That's not a huge damning problem for a game, right? Well, it is when you're forced to hear the same music again and again. What the developers have done is that there's only a few music tracks in the game, and they repeat very often. And the biggest offender is the dungeon music, because the music itself is so short, but it repeats constantly. And it doesn't repeat in a good way. So I'm going to actually unmute the music or the actual stream here, and you're going to get to hear what we heard again and again and again. There's no water here. slice everything up myself. Well, we can certainly afford that other sword and the magic upgrade. Oh no. So I want you all to just imagine listening to that same song again and again and again many times in each of the game's dungeons. We kind of joke that maybe like the grand evils that the song just plays all over the place for like the final part of the game. But yeah, again, when it comes to modern retro games, the aesthetics are as much a big part of it as the gameplay. And unfortunately, this is where Aggelos is at its worst. And like I said, it's not a completely damning issue for this game because the gameplay is so good, but it does otherwise sour the experience. And basically everyone on stream who was watching was starting to have their ears bleed while we were playing this game. And it is such a weird complaint to have considering the rest of the game works so well. But with that said, we're going to wrap up this first look here. I'd like to thank the developer for giving me a press key to check this one out. And if you let me tickle your game in the future, please don't hesitate to get in touch. But otherwise, thank you for watching this video. Come back for daily discussions on game design here and on Game Wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games. Once again, this has been Aggelos, and have a great night. If you're looking for a book on design, my first title, 20 Essential Games to Study, is out now. It is available where most books are sold, and it comes in paper, hardcover, or digital copies. This is the perfect book for anyone interested in learning about game design, whether you are a student, enthusiast, or just a fan. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed things, be sure to do all the liking and subscribing that the kids are doing these days. Check out our Discord channel linked down below where we hang out and chat game design, and come back later tonight for our regular streamings. But that's it, and tune in for more great content here and on Game Wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games.